Hello, welcome to another another session of our Chakra Foundations workshop. And this workshop has been already, and I feel like we still we still have so much more to go to cover all the entire chakra. To uncover everything that there is to learn about your connection to nature and the universe and the planet. And we're like scratching the surface, but already, even just like taking that little scratch on the surface, I feel like it's opened a lot of us up to thinking about things differently, feeling things differently. And really, I find the one thing about Reiki and understanding all of these chakras and how to balance and heal them and strengthen them is really just kind of given me that sense of ownership, that sense of like, I can control this. It's not all these things happening to me. It's not all these things around me that are affecting me, but I can bring whatever I want into my life. And I probably am the one that's bringing all of the chaos into my life as well. So I have control. So I am really excited to pass it over to Amanda to get her started. And I'm so honored that so many of the women have really taken hold of this and have found deeper meaning to what she's sharing. And of course, this is something that I've been telling Amanda that she needs to do for a long time. And I've been, just pushing and tapping her closer to the line to take that step and to share all of her amazing value that she has within herself and knowledge. So I'm honored that she said yes and is now sharing that with our women's community here at the Women's Connection. So whether you're here with us live or in replay land, just really take the time to be present in the moment. And, we're here with you even if you are somewhere in the past, which is kind of weird. But we're all connected as one. So that's what it all comes down to. So Amanda, I won't take lots of time introducing you. Most of the women know you by now. Maybe some of them don't. So you can just kind of give them a little brief intro on who you are and why this is important to you. And take it away, girlfriend.
Awesome. Thanks, Layla. So like Layla said, my name's Amanda Boudou. I've been a Reiki practitioner / mentor student for probably the last 12 years of my life. And it's really created a dynamic shift. And so, that's why Layla has been really giving me that, nudge to get the word out there to everybody else, because she's seen the shift within myself, but also within herself once, we started to connect with Reiki. So I'm really excited to be here with all of you ladies tonight. Thanks for joining me. And we're really going to be covering what true happiness is, and how we can achieve that, and how that really allows for us to cultivate and unleash our authentic selves. So we're going to be exploring how to release self-limiting or faulty belief systems that have been kind of ingrained or patterned into us through our childhood and beyond that. So, that's kind of what we're looking at tonight. And before we get started on, the presentation and hopping right into Reiki, I would love for everybody to share just one word of gratitude. First and foremost, I'm very thankful for all of my mentors that have guided me, who've, brought me to the place that I'm at right now. And I'm also very thankful for all of you ladies for taking this time for yourselves and to connect with me. So thank you so much for that. Layla, I'm going to pass it back to you so that you can give just even one word of gratitude.
Alignment. Okay, and let me just explain quickly. I'll be quick, but I'm working on my second book, and it's called Bitch Slap the Mean Girls. And so the first chapter, the first part was all about awareness and opening up your mind and being truly aware to these limiting beliefs and the mean girls in our head and all that stuff. And the second part is creating or releasing those limiting beliefs and creating new brain patterns. So alignment, right? It's like, okay, well, I needed to hear this from Amanda before I wrote that chapter. So because I'm sure she has things that I've missed, because that always happens with us, is we seem to be more of a collective when we combine. So yes, I'm grateful for that alignment.
Awesome. Thank you, Layla. Cynthia, do you have a word of gratitude you'd like to share tonight?
Hi there. So my word of gratitude today would be well-being, like just being able to be healthy in all aspects, you know, like your physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Like recently, that's been a real big thing for me, just being connected with all those things and not taking any of them for granted, because I think we're all guilty of doing that at certain points. And I'm trying to align all of those together and balance them out. So well-being overall.
Awesome words, Cynthia. Thanks so much for sharing that. Jennifer, did you have any word of gratitude that you'd like to share?
I think for me, it would be learning now to connect with the universe. I think I need to try to get out of myself and try to connect with nature, with all those things that bring joy.
Oh, that's beautiful, Jennifer. Thanks so much. You know, one thing that I want everybody to take away from what Jennifer said, and even what
Amanda, did we lose her? Did you lose her?
Yes, I think we did.
I think we lost her. Amanda. I'm like, I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or. Okay.
I think we lost Cynthia and Amanda.
No, Cynthia's in and out. In and out. Amanda. Maybe she'll come back. So if you're watching this, it's just a quick little pattern interrupt. And if you are watching in replay land, then share your gratitude. Okay, she's gone now, so maybe she'll be back. Share your gratitude. And I'm hosting a women's retreat next week, all week long. And these are women that are from low-income housing and on the reserve. So they're Indigenous First Nations women. And the whole point of the week is to teach them about self-love and kind of give them some feel-good experiences. Like I've got like massage therapists and things like that going on, dancing and hair braiding and all this stuff. But one of the things that really has, I guess, come up is the connection that we have with other people. So when Amanda comes back, she probably won't have time to kind of give you the synopsis on how we met, but we've been best friends since like grade 6, and we were both misfits. She was in the I don't know what they call it, the special class. She'd be like, Layla, it's not called the special class. I don't know what it's called, but the special education class. And, had all these labels of being dyslexic and ADD and all this stuff. And I was the total opposite of the spectrum, like top of the class, super nerd, teacher's pet, just super, super smart, won all the awards at graduation. And somehow we connected and we ended up being best friends. And it's just really interesting how our paths have come back together, and in a way that she's actually mentoring me in a lot of, you would think it'd be the total opposite way, because she's this white chick and I'm the one that's a Mohawk woman, but she's been mentoring me on a lot of the teachings of Indigenous wisdom and connecting me back to, my spirit guides and my spirit animal and my connection to the universe and the earth. And so I'm really super grateful that our paths aligned as adults to bring this back to you. And I think that one of the things that I talk about, and I'll just share a little bit of insights of what I'm, there's like total like wrestling match or something going on in my house, of what I wrote down today, because I finished a chapter of the book that I'm writing. And I was talking about awareness. And so these limiting beliefs, these thoughts that we have in our mind, I like to think of it like this. It's kind of like this. Imagine every child is born with a set of glasses. And when you're born, these glasses are clear. The tint is clear. It's just straight glass. You see everything as you should. And then as experiences start to happen, as people say things to you, as you bump your knee and you fall out of the tree and you burn your hand on the stove, and all of these different experiences happen, your sunglasses gradually start to change. And the tint of your sunglasses starts to change. So one mental shift that I have, and it's not the bitch slap, but the bitch slap is one of them, is the sunglasses. So when something's happening to me or I feel these voices, because I'm telling you, you never really get rid of them.
I'm back!
She's back! I was just telling them about the analogy of the sunglasses, and I think I've told you this before, of this simple act of like feeling them. So you like feel the weight of them. You look at the rims, and you feel the texture, and you feel them on your nose. They become like real. And so when things start to get overwhelming, or I'm reacting to a situation, or I'm emotional, or I feel hurt, or I feel any of these feelings, I just simply kind of like, I actually do pull them off. And like with my hands, I just pull them off. You're like, okay. Sometimes I just, it's hilarious because I actually do. I like pull them down and just peek over. Like, is this really what I'm looking at? Or is this an effect of the tint of my sunglasses? So yes, I was just sharing that because I just wrote that chapter today in the book.
Oh, that's perfect, because we're going to be talking about those tinted glasses tonight.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you tied that in there. Sorry, my internet just completely failed, and I went into, a little bit of a panic mode, so I'm glad I'm back.
We're glad you're back too.
So like Layla was saying, we're going to really understand how we can take those sunglasses off tonight, because those are the self-limiting belief systems, is those sunglasses, the faulty perception that we've created over our life experiences. So, let's hop right into it so that we're not wasting any more time here with the internet. Love you, internet. Okay, so give me a second here. I'll pull up the presentation. So like I said to you ladies, we're talking all about happiness and releasing self-limiting beliefs. So, I want to ask you all, happiness is the state of being happy, but what is that for you? Does anybody want to share what their definition of happiness is?
I used to think it was like a destination. Like I would be happy if I had. I would be happy. I will be happy when I get there. I will be happy when this happens. And making that shift into it's always within me. There are things right now that I'm happy for. I'm happy that my daughter is so smart. I'm happy that my heart is beating and functioning. I'm happy that my lungs are breathing without me even telling them to. So finding new sources of happiness and understanding that it's not a destination, but it's part of the journey.
It's the journey for sure. Yeah, I would totally agree. That's definitely one of my truths as well. Does anybody else have their own definition of happiness?
Mine would be kind of the same as Layla's, that it is coming from within. And I'm just learning that, like as I said, I'm learning how to try to connect with the universe and things like that. I find that happiness is within, and we can control that.
Absolutely. And it's a great discovery to behold once you've gotten there, that, you know, even when I go into my yoga studio, they have this saying written on the wall in the change room, and it says, your journey begins within, you know, and it's kind of that correlation to what Jennifer was saying, is understanding that the happiness is created within us. It's not an external source that is created. So, you know, if somebody believes that material objects or, you know, meeting the Joneses next door is what creates the happiness, then, you know, that's where suffering and pain and discomfort and disease is actually created. So when we can truly come to the understanding that happiness starts from within us and, you know, really fills us from within, you're walking down that healing path, that path of true happiness. So that's what we're really going to be exploring tonight. You know, so the equivalent of happiness would be pleasure, contentment, satisfaction, cheerfulness, joy, glee, delight, good spirits, lightheartedness, well-being, and enjoyment. And there's many, many more different words that you can substitute for happiness, but those are some of the synonyms that would come with happiness. So in order for us to achieve happiness, we ultimately need to think, intend, and take action from our heart place. You know, so really truly following our heart center. So like Jennifer said, going within us and understanding what our heart's voice is saying. So, you know, where we kind of get trapped is when we're expressing our freedom of choice, choosing to listen rather to the ego than to the actual heart. So the ego is needed because it's a motivating factor. But if we choose to pick the ego path more than we do the heart path, then we actually are living within distortion or false belief or perception. So, you know, I used Mona Lisa here as the picture to depict that, because they said that Mona Lisa was one of the most beautiful women in the world, right? But if you're looking at Mona Lisa through your rose-colored glasses, you know, she doesn't really look too beautiful when you're looking at this picture right underneath the words, right? So, you know, we have to keep that in perspective, whether we're balancing that heart voice or with the ego, or whether we're allowing the ego to dominate. So we're going to hop right into an activity that we're going to do. So what Cynthia was saying is, you know, really trying to understand the health of all aspects of her being, her spirit, her mental, emotional, and physical. So we're actually going to be releasing or understanding how to release beliefs and energy, and emotions and our physicality. So we're going to be going through each one of those aspects of our being with the activities that we're doing. So I just want everybody to get really comfy in their seats. This is going to be more of a visualization tool for you. So that you can actually understand your bullshit meter, okay? So this is more to do with your spiritual aspect of yourself, your energetic aspect of self, and this really allows you to understand your environment externally and internally, okay? And whether they're actually correlating with one another or they're in alignment with one another, okay? And, you know, I really want people to get the sense of what is their truth when it comes to energy and what is their false when it comes to energy. And I'm not saying that it's your faults. I'm just saying that the saying or the environment is not in alignment with your truth. Okay, so I just want everybody to just take a moment, and I want you to just sit back in your chairs. Okay, and I'm gonna get you to all Just take a nice deep breath in, remembering when we breathe in, we're breathing in the earth. And when we breathe out, we're breathing down the universal energy. Okay, so just take a couple more of those. And then I'm going to get you all to use your hands, and I'm going to get you to brush off, all of what you have gathered through the day, or all of what you're mimicking, rather, through the day. And just brush it down to the earth. Allow the earth to receive it and reutilize it in the way that it needs to be utilized. Excellent. So it's just clearing. Sometimes I like to clear my senses, my nose, my mouth, my eyes, my ears, and even my hands. And then just, again, take that nice deep breath in, creating that contact with the earth. You could put your feet flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, that's great as well. And breathing out, allowing that universal energy to flow. And these two energies, they meet at our heart center. They're co-creating within the heart. Excellent. And so what I want you all to do is I want you to visualize a gauge or a meter in your mind's eye, that third eye. And, this meter can kind of be like those meter readers things on the side of our house. It can be, a hot to cold meter. It can be an up and down meter, whatever really comes to your mind's eye. I like to use kind of like a half moon type meter in my mind's eye. And so the one side of the meter is going to be of truth, and then the other side of the meter is going to be false or BS or bullshit. And so I'm going to just get you to engage in that meter, and I'm going to make a couple of statements, and I just want you to see where that meter reads. And remember that everybody has their own truth. So what may be true for me might not be true for you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just means that that is your truth or false. Okay, so don't judge it. Just receive it. So I want you to really understand too as well what engages a stimulation of the energy and what allows the energy to become dormant and kind of slow or sluggish or dense even. So I'm going to make these statements now. I am the color of the rainbow. Is that truth on your meter or false on your meter? I hate Christmas. Is that a truth or a false? Or does your energy feel stimulated or does it feel dormant? If it feels dormant, it's probably a false. If it feels stimulated, it's a truth. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Is that a truth for you or is it a false for you? Skinny people are healthy people. Is that a truth or a false? So really in this exercise, if you want to all come back to, and really in this exercise, what we're trying to achieve here is, becoming aware of the sense of our truth, okay? And like I said, our truth is unique to ourselves, and it's really important for us to understand and discover these truths. So, like that statement, and I kind of saw Layla chuckling a little bit because I kept my eyes open, but that statement that, skinny people are healthy people. that's not really always true in my mind, because there are a lot of people that take into consideration their health that aren't the thinnest people. And then there are really thin people that, are very unhealthy. And so, we have to really start to take this sense of truth and false on the energetic level and create that awareness around it so that we understand our energy in a more healthier and balanced way. So now we're going to talk about how we get out of our unhealthy ways. Okay, so it's time to be happy, right? So first of all, why do people create fantasies? And the reason why they create fantasies is because they're trying to control their world. Okay, the sense of control is a delusion. It's a distortion. Okay, because we are nature. We are flowing with the natural energies, our life force energy, on a continual basis. And if we try to control things, especially with our mind, what we're doing is we're creating stagnation, or we're creating a lack of movement. And we are meant to move. That's what our being is engaged in constantly, is this energetic movement. The mental aspect of ourselves is thinking, and it's constantly going, it's constantly moving. Our emotion, the word emote means to move, right? Emotions are meant to move us through an experience in order for us to learn from that experience. And then our physical body, I always tell people, if you don't move it, you lose it, right? So we're meant to move in all aspects of our being. And so if you're trying to constantly hold on to this expectation of the future, or if you're constantly trying to hold on to past patternings of past experiences, you're creating this fantasy, you're creating this distortion or this illusion. So lost in thought and distortion or illusion is how we create an unhealthy or unhappy being. And this truly causes us to not flow with the natural cycles. And it really creates a lot of resistance with meeting the universal life force energy in this divine flow. So again, we try to control and we're not surrendering. So Layla was talking about, that chaos. And at the first Reiki Foundation workshop that we were doing, I gave you 4 steps to unraveling chaos. And the first step is to surrender. So it's really important for us to surrender to the natural flow. So in order for us to do that, what we need to do is we need to understand how to balance between our rational mind and then our intuition, okay? And this could also be considered the ego versus the heart, okay? They're the one and the same. So, the rational mind is the ego, and intuition is our heart. So if we only live within this faulty belief or this faulty perception or those rose-colored glasses, and it's the main driver in our being, then this only allows us to see our personal observations, because remember, we're here to observe so that we can learn. We only see our personal observations through our past patternings, our past experiences, our emotional defense, or our future expectations. And this really creates almost a jail for us, because we're stuck in a sense of loss, or a sense of suffering, or a sense of pain or anger. Okay, we're not coming from the place of present. And when we come from the place of present, we can truly forgive in order to accept and love ourselves unconditionally. So then, opposite of this, or actually the correlation, the same of this is, if the ego was in the driver's seat constantly. So like I said, the ego serves a purpose. It gives us that motivating factor. But a lot of people believe when they're exploring their spiritual journey that they need to eliminate the ego. And what I found is this is also a faulty belief, that we actually need our ego. It's a necessity in our being. But what happens is so many people, they just live from that ego. They live from that rationality. And if you're only living from that rational mind, you're creating an imbalance within your being. And if we're only driving from that ego seat, we're only coming from that rational point of view. Okay, so when it comes to belief systems, if we're only thinking rationally about things, we're only thinking from a scientific basis, which is cause and effect. And if you're suffering from any type of loss, and this is one of the things I actually have just taken away from a certification program I took over the weekend, which is a grief certification through EduTherapy Solutions, is understanding that if we, come only from the rational point of view, we create more suffering within ourselves, because a lot of the scientific basis is just cause and effect. And there are things that happen in our world that you cannot justify. You cannot rationally explain. There is no correlation of cause to the effect. Okay, so we really need to understand that, the divinity part of it. We need to truly understand about the universal life force, and that we are not in control of that universal life force. And thus we need to surrender to the present and allow the universal life force to be kind of in charge. So let's do the second level of our being. So we've done the spiritual, we understand how to sense whether something is true or false, or within truth it stimulates the energy, and within false it causes it to become more dormant and sluggish. Let's now explore the mental capacity of our being. Okay, so we're going from the highest vibration and going just down one little notch of vibration to the mental capacity. Okay, so in our mental capacity, this is the filter in which we view the world. Okay, so this is truly those rose-colored glasses that Layla was talking about. And so if we can recognize, become aware of these patternings in which our mental capacity has created, or the patterning in which our brain continually, circles around, then we can start to release those self-limiting beliefs. Okay, so let's start off with, one-liners. Okay, so you can use your own one-liner here. I'm going to use this one-liner. Children should be seen and not heard. Okay, so how many of us have heard that in our lives, right? Children should be seen and not heard. And you can use your journal or write it down on the piece of paper if you would like. Just write down a one-liner that you've experienced within your life that may be true or may be false. I'll give you guys another one. This too shall pass. Time heals all.
Money is the root of all evil.
Does anybody else have one that they want to share? One-liners? Okay, we'll start with those ones then. So I want you to take that one-liner and I want you to ask yourself, is this my truth? Is this true? Layla, is it true to you that money is the root of all evil?
No, it's not true to me.
Children should be seen and not heard. That definitely is not a truth for me.
That does not exist in my head. They are always heard and seen, usually naked. Hi. Hi, Hendrix. He's a little grumpy right
No.
now.
Hey, no.
Daddy carry me.
Because you want Daddy to carry you.
Oh.
But Daddy's carrying the other baby, right? But you're such a big, strong boy.
Mm-hmm.
You're so strong. Show them your muscles. Come on. They want to see. Give them a flex like this. I know you want to. No?
Yes, Cynthia.
Get it being crabby.
So I want you to then take a moment and I want you to recall the event or situation or even the person that instilled this belief or this one-liner into you, okay? So, I'll share an experience. So as a child, many of you know that I have, or rather I'm very connected with the sense aspect of my being. So, a lot of the times I could see spirit, I could hear spirit, and my sisters would always tell me that I was paranoid. So my whole entire life, I thought that I was paranoid because this was told to me constantly, or this liner of, it's just your imagination, it's just your imagination. So, I recall the event of when I heard this from my sisters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it back to them, because this is not my belief. This is not my truth. It may be their belief, and that's okay, because it's their perception, but it's not my perception. So in my mind's eye, I go back and I see them, and then I'm going to give that statement or that one-liner back to them. So this scenario with children should be seen and not heard, the same sort of thing. There are several times where I'd be like, Mom, 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 or, Jackie, Jen, Amber, or Dad, pay attention to me. And, either they didn't have the time or they didn't make the time. And so, that event or that experience that I had really solidified that one-liner that children should be seen and not heard. But this is not my truth. At this present moment, it's not my truth. So what I do is I go into my mind's eye and I recall my dad and my mom and my sisters, and I give that belief back to them. That's their belief. It's not my belief. It's their belief, because this belief is not true to me. So like I said, give it back. I'm not owning this. This is yours. It's not mine. And you can state that out loud. It's yours, not mine. And then what I want you to do is I want you to declare what your truth is. Children should be seen and heard. That's my truth. I am not paranoid. My imagination serves me well. It's not a distortion and it's not a delusion. So make your statement. State your truth. And then the last step is, if you have a witness, and when it comes to nature connections, this witness does not have to be a human being. It can be a tree, it can be a flower, it can be the dirt, grass. Sometimes it's even better for it not to be a human being, especially if you feel like you're coming from a place of somebody judging you. Okay, so you want to really make sure that when you get a witness, that it's a safe witness. But if you have a human witness to you, get them to state it back to you, right? So Layla, money is not the root of all evil.
Yes, it is abundant and a source of freedom and change.
And security.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was passed on a lot of limiting beliefs about money from my parents. Like, money doesn't grow on trees. So that money was always scarce. And it was, something that you held on to, and you didn't spend it. And yeah, so that's definitely been something I had to look at reprogramming. And this simple act of like visually, like, okay, this actually wasn't mine. I didn't teach myself this. I didn't even learn this myself. It was just something that I was told. And because I was told it by my parents, I believed it to be true.
Right. Absolutely. And a lot of the times, it's the closest to us that create a lot of these faulty belief systems. So, and we're not trying to blame here. It's not a blame game. It's really the accountability. So that's, one of the steps in unraveling chaos is holding yourself accountable. So, this is really something that we need to understand in accountability, is that we need to understand what is true to us and what is false to us. Because, that's where we fall into that trap of blaming or victimizing. Because I grew up this way, this is why I do it, even though it doesn't align with you. So it's really important for us to really be aware of the faulty beliefs or the false perceptions, and then to reprogram those faulty beliefs and false perceptions. So let's go back to, what is this rational mind or this ego? And using the mind for aligning one's beliefs with the reason to believe, okay, and aligning one's actions with one's reason to act, okay. So again, this sense of cause and effect. So the ego is also one sense of self, your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your self-importance. Okay, this is actually why it's important for us to continually engage with the ego. Because if we didn't engage with the ego, we would have no sense of our authentic self. We would have no sense of how important we are as a being. So, that spiritual understanding of releasing the ego is a very false belief system for me. So, example, I believe this because it sits true within me, and I do this because it makes me happy. So now let's look at the balance of this, which is the intuition or the heart. And so listening to our gut, that gut sense of, true and false, like we explored with the first activity, the spidey sense of just knowing, I know this to be true. Signs and signals, messages, visions, and internal guidance, so sometimes there's a lot of the time when, we go through a Reiki practice or a self-treatment, and I'll say to all of you, now listen to what your body has to say, or ask your body, what message do you have to give to me? This is the intuition. And, how many times, and I know that, Layla can attest to this, is how many times have you actually listened to that message, follow through with that message, and created so much more flow and ease within your being just by listening to that message? Layla, is it okay if I share the one Reiki with the Logan thing? Okay. So, I was getting Layla to go through self-treatment, and at the time, she received a message that she needed to speak her truth to her brother Logan. And so she did. And from an observation point of view, I started to really see Logan's whole perspective of life truly shift. And he's really taken accountability into action. And it's so great to watch him really step into himself again through, walking the healing path and living within his passion, within his purpose. And many of you can probably see on Facebook, how much his career as a musician has boomed. And a lot of that has to do with not only himself, but Layla holding herself accountable for the messages in which she received, and then following through with that in action and talking and speaking her truth with her brother. So, I'm really grateful that Layla shared that observation and that message when she did. And it was really awesome to see the follow through with what happened after she actually took action towards it. So through following our intuition, we need to act upon these impulses. It's not a rational thought, and a lot of the times our rational thinking will tell us that we're foolish for following it, or our external influences will tell us that we're foolish for following it, right? So we really need to pay attention to these energies, and we need to listen and feel and sense them and be with them. So this, understanding through Reiki of becoming still and reflecting upon ourselves, upon our being state, is very essential to uncovering and really stepping into our authenticity. So intuition is going with the flow of nature. If we're trying to create an action in life and we get that resistance back on us, several times, we need to move into the opposite direction. If we constantly walk into chaos, we need to turn around and go the other way, because it's like a river. If we want to flow with the river, we have to go with the tide of the river. Or the current of the river rather, than trying to swim upstream. Swimming upstream is creating that resistance. Flipping over onto our back and floating down is flowing with the natural cycle of nature. We are nature. We need to listen to nature. Again, unraveling chaos, move in the opposite direction, okay? So how do we create happiness? By choosing to listen and follow our heart rather than the ego. Like I said, don't eliminate the ego, but listen to that heart. And the heart's voice is such a quiet voice that we need to create that stillness in order to truly hear it, okay? The ego, our rational mind, is very loud. So we need to learn to be able to quiet this mind in order to listen to this heart. So listen to your inner voice, like Jennifer said, go within, rather than the external voices. And there was a time in my life where I went shopping with my friends. And I bought this pair of pants, and I think I've actually brought this story up in one of our other sessions. And one of my friends said to me that, why did you buy those pants? They're kind of ugly. And I was like, And then my other friend was like, but that's Amanda, that's her style. And so for the longest time, I wouldn't wear those pants because I didn't feel like I fit in. But is it more important to fit in with our external environment, or is it more important for us to fit in within ourselves? Good question, right? Just ponder it. So setting and achieving more intrinsic goals than extrinsic goals. This is how we really create happiness. And something that I kind of want to refer to, and if any of you have access to Netflix, it's a really cool documentary to watch. I believe it's called Happy. Okay. And this is where I kind of got a lot of the wording behind how to create happiness. Is, they went out and they explored the world, and they really wanted to understand, what created happiness. And the thing that they took from it is this statement right here that we're talking about, is setting these intrinsic goals rather than extrinsic goals. They really interviewed people from, the wealthiest of people to very poor people. And they found that many of the people that were truly happy were the poorest people. But the reason why they were happy is because they truly achieved goals from within themselves, self-fulfillment, rather than the external fulfillment of materialistic objects. Okay? So what are intrinsic goals? It's personal growth, community service, connection and relationships, and internal expansion. So again, I want to kind of share another story about Layla's experience once we started to talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic goals. And so Layla was, when Layla and I first decided to start Four Directions mentoring, she didn't understand what she would be receiving out of it. And I really encourage people to understand the balance between giving and receiving. And so, she didn't really understand the extent in which she would be receiving when we started this Four Directions mentoring, because we were giving so much. We were giving of ourselves mentally, we were giving of ourselves physically, even emotionally. We would be doing talking circles, we'd be doing gatherings, and so there was a lot of question mark behind, Amanda, why do you think this is going to create fulfillment? Or how is this going to create fulfillment? And after the first year that we did these gatherings, she publicly came out and said, I cannot believe how fulfilled and how happy these gatherings make me feel. And since then, just with me getting pregnant and everything, we haven't been gathering as much, but we still make an effort. Like, we're going to be doing a cookie exchange at the end of closer to the end of December, just so that we can get together with one another, because we've created such a community connection, and we've created such a bond between these women and ourselves. And for me, even, it's so fulfilling to have that connection. So I really can say to myself that this is my truth, that true happiness comes from obtaining these intrinsic goals rather than extrinsic goals. And extrinsic goals, again, are rewards, they're material objects, they're money, their status, and external praise. When we can get to this point of giving ourselves praise rather than needing it from someone else, it's a true indicator of us really loving ourselves and stepping into our authenticity. So, like I said, we're going to be going down the ladder of, most highest vibration notch down, so spiritual, then mental, and so now we're actually going to be doing emotional now. Okay, so let's do this emotional activity. So our emotions are our environmental meter. Okay, so they let us know if it is safe or if we need to proceed with caution. Okay, so if you find that, you know, you're in a situation or you're going through an experience and it creates a defense mechanism, you need to be asking yourself if this is a past patterning or if this is unsafe for me, okay? So I want you to become aware of the emotions corresponding with the beliefs. So you can write down, and I noticed this afterwards, I only wrote down emotions that are you know, viewed as more negative emotions, but you can have a whole slew of emotions. Okay, so there can be happiness, there can be joy felt within this this correlation or this correspondence. So don't just take the emotions that I've written here to be the only emotions that you should be experiencing. So take that one-liner that you've written down, okay, and I want you to sit with that one-liner emotionally. And I want you to feel those emotions that come up when you read that one-liner back to yourself. So again, mine was, children should be seen and not heard. I just feel in my chest, I feel really compressed. In my stomach, I feel nauseous. I feel like I want to even cough in a sense. I can feel in my legs it kind of becoming achy, like I'm ungrounding. So I want you to really understand that emotion and what it engages within you. So I'm going to go back to a more truthful statement for myself so that I can sit within more ease. And I'm going to say, this too shall pass. You know, we are energy. So ask yourself, do I want or need to hold on or carry this emotion? For me, that first statement, no, I do not want to carry or hold on to this emotion because it doesn't make me feel healthy. It makes me feel stuck and stagnant and disconnected. So again, recall the event or situation or person that, you know, gave you this belief. Give it back. And then declare your truth. And have a witness. So you'll start to see the patterning here that, you know, after the first couple of steps, it's pretty much the same thing through, you know, the mental, emotional, and the physical capacity of self. Okay? So how do we get out of our head and into our heart? So by clearing those past patternings, those distortions, those faulty beliefs, those perceptions, whatever word you want to use there, through those four aspects of our being, our spiritual, our mental, emotional, and physical. Okay, so we're doing that through the activities. So quiet that mind so that you can hear that heart's voice. So releasing these self-limiting beliefs. So to become permanently healthy, it's essential that we shift any limiting or false inner thoughts about who we are and what we deserve. Okay, so, you know, we did one-liners, but I want you to start to really explore, you know, the truth and false of who you are as a person and what you deserve as a person. So, you know, that statement of me being paranoid, I owned that for a very long period of time, but that's not who I am. I'm not a paranoid person. So, you know, it's really important for me to understand that and release that. Okay. Another thing, you know, that Layla was talking about deserving. She was talking about the money factor. You know, she was taught her whole entire life that she was not deserving to have an abundance of money. And this really restricted her. She was broke with Toby in the basement of a bar for quite some time, right? Until she released that self-limiting belief. And look at where she is now. She has 3 beautiful children. She has a beautiful home, if any of you have ever been there. Very indicative of her authenticity. As soon as you walk in, you can feel that vibe in there. And I can even attest that when she first moved in there, I could feel the energies of the past people, the past vibrations still sitting within that area. And now walking through her home, there's none of that. It's all her, Toby, and the kids, and that's beautiful to feel and see and sense. Okay, so I want you to start to really understand your limiting beliefs around who you are and what you deserve. So accepting your full authentic self. If I still had those pants, if I didn't give them away, I would be still rocking them to this day, so really sit within your authentic self. A long time ago, I wouldn't have ever wore the shirt that I'm wearing right now. It has like little zebra print. I would have never taken the time to braid my hair, but these are things that truly make me feel align ourselves in all aspects, our thoughts, our intentions, and our actions, right? That's true responsibility. That's true accountability. So step into yourself. Remember, you choose your beliefs. This has to be a conscious effort. And so you need to become aware of what you are thinking constantly, what you are intending constantly, and whether or not your actions align with that thought and with that intention. You choose. Nobody else does, but you. So you get to determine which ones you want to discard, throw out, get out of your brain or your emotion or your energy or your physicality. You get to choose that. So make that choice. And understand that nothing has meaning until you give it meaning. Even relationships, loss really has to do with how much emotional investment you have into, any loss that you perceive, right? So whether it be a relationship, whether it be a physical object, if you place your emotional investment into that physical object, if it were to leave or move forward, you would feel like you have lost something. You would have grief behind it, and that's what creates pain and suffering. So we really need to understand how much emotional investment we want to put into any form of connection or relationship that we're having. And so we need to understand that instead of holding these faulty beliefs or these false perceptions, why don't we hold empowering beliefs and empowering perceptions? And empowerment means to give yourself power and to give yourself authority. So moving down the ladder of highest vibration to low, we did the spirit, we did mentality, we did emotions, and now we're going to do physicality. So our body, again, is very much like our emotions. It's our environmental meter, okay? Our body is both external and internal. And this allows us to know whether we're safe or whether we need to proceed with caution, So if we're stepping into an environment that sends us into a sympathetic nervous system of feeling our hair stand up on end, feeling very heightened in awareness, that is indicating that we need to proceed with caution. If we feel very relaxed and we feel very grounded and a sense of well-being, then we know that we're in a safe place rather. So let's look at some belief systems. So I want you to start to make a list of your beliefs around your body, especially around body image. With women, we've been given a lot of faulty beliefs around body image. I had said one earlier about skinny people are healthy people. So write down and speak out loud to yourself what you believe. So I believe my body to be ugly. I believe my body to be ill. I believe my body to be sick. I believe my body to be beautiful. I believe my body to be natural. What are these belief systems that you hold around your body? Does anybody want to share some beliefs that they have about their body?
Well, I had some good ones when I went through pregnancy, and I had some bad ones too. But the one that I really focused on and put at the front of my mind was that my body is powerful. My body is designed for this. My body is a beautiful machine that fulfills its purpose perfectly. And all of these systems and unconscious things that are going on in your body, like the cells and the DNA reproducing, like all of these miraculous, almost like it's hard to explain it other than saying it's a miracle. Miracle design. My body is a miracle design. So yes, there's good ones like that, and then there's bad ones, right? And I think that we all have them, and that's kind of where I'm coming from in this book. Is like they're there. Those thoughts are there. Those mean girls are still there. My body is ugly. Oh, my stomach, my tummy is always going to be my trouble area. Like all of these beliefs that I have, but it's whether I will let them control. Whether I will just let myself operate on autopilot, on cruise control with all of these beliefs that I know are not my truth. So they're there, but now there's just that awareness that they're not mine.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I've been really looking at right now is, the stretching of my belly button. And I always remember, how elongated my mother's belly button was, but, to really shift that understanding that it serves it, my belly is expanding because I have a beautiful life form being created within me, and it truly serves a purpose. And so, regardless of the way that the belly looks by the end of, the pregnancy, I am just really thankful that I get to experience being pregnant, and that, my body has the capacity to expand to allow this baby to grow, right? And so, whether or not, society, the externals believe that I have a beautiful belly after I have my child, I know that my belly is beautiful because it holds and it's held and it will continue to hold a beautiful, healthy being inside of me. Right? So, I want you to really start to explore those belief systems. And as you heard me just talk about, I want you to become aware of, the body reactions of each of these belief systems and ask yourself whether it's your truth. And then I want you to mark down the false beliefs. And you can just asterisk them. You can, I literally cross the faulty belief out. Like I said, if I wrote down my belly is ugly or my belly is stretched, I would cross it out, and then I would write down beside it what the actual true belief is that my belly is beautiful. I am a healthy person. All of these true understandings for me, rather than the false, imprinted, distorted external belief systems that have truly formed me to this point. Okay, so make sure that you're declaring your truth. I am sacred. I am beautiful. My body serves its purpose. I am flowing with the natural flow of being a mother carrying her child. In hypnobirthing, which Layla and I both have done, and I'm still continuing to do with this child, is understanding the true nature of our body and how connected it is to the earth, and how kind of mechanical it is, like Layla said, that it knows what to do. The baby knows what to do. The baby knows how to get out. It's, again, our external society that puts these pressures and these timelines and these deadlines on us to, birth in a certain period of time, or, if it's not out by this date, then we need to encourage it to come out. And what Layla and I have really reprogrammed within our belief system is to understand that, our body knows, our babies know when they want to come out, when they're ready to come out. And it's not for us to try to control that. We need to surrender to it. Okay, so again, those steps of unraveling the chaos. And then, the last step, of course, is having that witness. Getting that witness to state it back to you, or if it's not a physical being, then just having that witness present. And again, it can be a tree, it can be a flower. Really try and get to a place of safety and security, rather than having a physical being who may judge you. Okay? So yes, you can see that in order for us to release these faulty beliefs, these false perceptions of our being, we need to really target it on all 4 aspects of our being. But there is a likelihood that these patterns will creep back in again. These mean girls, like Layla puts them, will have their, say in every time that you come across that faulty belief. And it may take us multiple times to go through this release pattern, but every time that you go through it, it becomes quicker and easier to do. And I'd want to encourage you to continually do it, because our brain patterning takes 21 times of experiencing things before we actually reprogram it. And sometimes if it's ingrained deep enough into our being, it takes more than 21 times. And that's okay. Be okay with that. Don't judge that it's still there. Don't expect it to be gone. Just understand that you are where you are, and that is okay. So just repeat it. Repeat it as many times as it's needed. Be patient, be gentle, be kind to yourself, and understand one day you'll get to that belief system and it will be completely gone. And it's because of you holding yourself accountable, you becoming aware of that chaos that you've created within yourself, and you're taking that responsibility to reprogram that patterning. So again, recapping these steps, okay, and you can do this through all aspects of yourself. Ask yourself, is this my truth? Recall the event, situation, or the person that instilled the faulty belief into you. give it back to them. State, this is not my belief. This is your belief. You can have
Amanda, you're freezing. I think you're freezing. Hello?
back to them.
Oh, it just all came in like a blah, 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 blah. Okay, good.
Awesome. So, like I said, here are the steps. So ask yourself the truth. Is this my truth? Recall the event, situation, and the person who instilled it. Give it back to them. Declare your own truth. Have a witness. And if that witness is human, get them to restate it back to you. Okay? So really, how does it work? How does this work? So by discovering the root of our belief, you can begin to release it from our energetic level of being. Okay, so like I said, that step down ladder of spirit, mental, emotional, physical, this goes from highest vibrational frequency to lowest vibrational frequency. But through the universal law of correspondence, if we can release it on the energetic level, the highest vibrational form, it will ripple down and through to the lowest vibrational form. So, we can go from the physical capacity of self and go back up again, but it's a lot harder to manifest things from physical to emotional to mental to spiritual than the opposite way around. So it's really important for us to target that energetic sense of self first and foremost. And if you can't get to the energetic sense of self, start with the mental capacity of self, okay? Because our mental capacity is our indicator of stop, or our indicator of this is false, okay? So really start to target on that level of brain patterning, and you'll just see everything else domino or ripple in correlation to releasing on that mental or energetic sense of being. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I just really liked the visuals of the meter, because I saw it like that half moon meter in my head, like, okay, true or false, and it, I don't know, it just gave like a mental, I like analogies and metaphors and, virtual bitch slaps and that sort of thing. So that's kind of, it was just like a perfect thing for me to see that, okay, that little hand is going false. It's not mine. And yeah, I really like that part.
Yeah, so one of the things that I remember Layla doing is she had elastic band around her wrist. And so every time the faulty belief system would come up, she would snap that elastic band to bring her out of that. But like I had said to you, it can happen to go from the physicality back up through our vibrational frequency, but it's a lot easier to target it from that energetic, that meter reader aspect of our being, and then pull it back into the physicality that way. So you can go either way. It will manifest a lot quicker if you start on that spiritual or that mental aspect of ourselves. Okay, so we have a bit of time, and I would.
So Amanda, if we were so tonight we've been talking about these false beliefs and releasing these false beliefs and finding our own true beliefs and replacing them. So how does this fall into our chakras? How does it align there?
So our solar plexus, which is actually where our rib cage meets, this has to do all about ourself, okay? Our sense of self, our self in all aspects, our spiritual self, our mental self, our emotional self, and our physical self. So this is what we're really targeting tonight, is understanding, what is truly ours, owning what is ours, stepping into our authentic self, into our solar plexus, rather than being a separate entity to ourselves, being that ego sense of self. Okay, so that's really where it's targeting, is that solar plexus, understanding our self. Does that answer your question, Layla?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So what's next?
So we're going to do a self-Reiki treatment, because tonight's all about ourselves, right? And that's the way that we're going to finish off, is to sit in Reiki and really sit within ourselves and receive any messages that do need to come through. Okay, so let's sit back in our chairs and just get comfy. I'm gonna get comfy here. Get comfy, feet flat on the floor if you can. Really start to become aware of the sensation of the floor under your feet, your thighs hitting the chair. If you're seated, if you're lying down, sense all of the contact that you have with the couch. I want you to sense your back resting on the back of your chair. I want you to really sense your body, and if there's any tension or pain or discomfort in any area of your body. And then I want you to start to engage in your breath. So take that nice earthly deep breath in and exhale the universal energy. So in with the earth, out with the universe. And then I want you to bring your hands to your heart center. And I just want you to feel that contact between each of your hands, every crevice, feeling the left to the right, starting to feel that co-creation of the universal and earth energy, coming from the heart, down the arms, into the forearms, hitting your hands, and creating space in between the two surfaces of your hands. You might have multiple sensations. You might feel warm, you might feel cold, you might feel tingling. Reiki is interpreted to each their own. Just allow it, accept it. Don't try to change it or control it. Continually breathing the earth and the universe. Now bring your hands up to your third eye. We're just going to call upon Reiki. Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. And then you can bring your hands back down to your heart. I want you to feel where that area of tension or discomfort or pain is in the body. And I want you to place your hands there. So I'm not going to instruct you on a specific place. I want you to just become completely in tune and aware of your own inner environment. And put your hands on that place and breathe in the earth and out the universe. Become aware of the sensation that you feel between your hands and that area of your body. I want you to see the color of yellow. Breathe in that yellow. What does it smell like? Breathe in that yellow. What would it taste like? Breathe in that yellow. What does it sound like? Breathing in the yellow. What does it feel like? Breathing in that yellow. Seeing it become more vibrant, more light. Breathing in that yellow. What is the sense that comes to you? Is it a light sense? Is it a dense sense? Is it a true sense? Is it a false sense? Now, if you have a second area of your body that feels tense, or that you're just even drawn to place your hands, go to that area of your body. Place your hands there. Breathe in that earth. Breathe out the universe. Breathing in the earth. Breathing out the universe. Become aware of that sensation between your hands and that area of your body. Don't try to change it or alter it. Completely accept it. Surrender to it. And if you would like, ask that area to send you a message. It can be a message that you see in your mind's eye, a picture. It can be a voice that you hear within yourself. It can be a sensation that you feel. It can even just be a thought that feels like it's been placed in your head. Or it can just be that knowing. Ask your body, do you have a message for me? And be open to hearing the message. Breathe into it, breathing in the universe, breathing in the earth rather. Exhaling the universal energy. Now I want you to come and place your hands back onto your thighs. Breathe in that earth energy and out the universal energy. And if there's any area of your body that's still holding pain, discomfort, tension, I want you to become aware of it. I want you to give it a shape. It doesn't have to be a concrete shape like a circle or a triangle. It can be a shape that has no name to it. I want you to outline that pain or discomfort or tension. Now I want you to give it a color. And I want you to give it a number. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in from the earth. And I want you to see that shape as you exhale turn into a circle. Inhale the circle. Exhale, making it smaller. Inhale that size. Exhale, making it smaller. Next inhale, continue with the size that it's at. This exhale, I want you to and push it completely out of your body and into the ground. And make that sound as you do it. If you need to do that a couple of times, then do it a couple of times. Pushing it out of your body. I just want you to come back into complete awareness of your feet touching the ground, your thighs touching the chair, your back touching the back of your chair. And I want you to feel the difference of your body when you first started this guided meditation. And I want you to give some gratitude to the subtle changes that this meditation has created. Understanding that you are the one who chose to let go, to release, to be still, present, to become yourself. I am the earth. I am the universe. I am the mother. I am the father. I am physical. I am spiritual. I am one. Bring your hands to your heart. Bow down. Give thanks to Reiki and all of the Reiki lineage that came with. Snap your fingers, clap your hands. Bring yourself back to this room right here and now. Does anybody have any messages that they want to share? You know, I came in contact with one that said, slow down. Right. So that was my message I received, and I'm very grateful for that. Did anybody else have any messages?
Yeah, I did. My back's been really hurting, and especially on the plane rides to California, it was like 5 hours of, like, I was just constantly like, oh my gosh. And so I had my hands on my back when you said, are there any messages? And it said, stand tall, stop slouching, hold your head up, be proud. So I was getting that message of, maybe I've been hiding away a little bit, and it's kind of time to lift up my chin and straighten my back.
Important, right? Very important. Thanks for sharing that, Layla.
Does feel better though, actually. Good. Breaths out.
And that, that was very important for me to get all of you to realize that you are the one who chooses. You choose to either hold on or you choose to release, right? And that meditation really attests to that statement that we get to choose whether we hold on to these things or whether we allow them to be released from our being. So empower yourself. Understand yourself, be proud of yourself, stand tall, and understand that you get to choose whether you hold on to false or you hold on to truth. And that is what we're here for. That's what the solar plexus is all about, is sitting in our truth, living our truth, experiencing our truth. So much gratitude to the truth.
Faux show. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. We appreciate you spreading your wisdom and taking us through this. I was like screenshotting all your little activities. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. But yeah, just give us a little, do we know what we're covering next month yet?
Yeah, I don't remember which day it's on. I think it's the second Wednesday in January that we're going to be, actually I can check. But what we're going to be talking about is just a general overview of the solar plexus. We're going to be really diving into, the elemental of the solar plexus, just, the Sanskrit word of the solar plexus, really exploring that, and really embracing that. Yeah. So the second Wednesday in January the 9th, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, here on the Women's Connection. And like I said, just a general overview of the solar plexus, and how we can truly sit within our truth and explore the truth again.
Yeah, because once you release all of those limiting beliefs, those non-truths that weren't yours, then I don't know, sometimes you're like, okay, now I am me. Now what? So I'm glad that we're still spending some more time on that okay, now that we've gotten rid of things that aren't true, sometimes it's hard for us to really just sit with ourselves in our truth and be accepting and loving of that. So yes,
absolutely.
Awesome.
And so we'll be, of course, doing probably about 3 guided meditations again, so that we can create that stillness and embrace, like what Layla said, sitting within ourselves, our truth in ourselves, and just completely and utterly embracing it.
Awesome. All right, ladies, so check the group for the events and get plugged into next month's Chakra Foundations Workshop with Amanda Voodoo. Thanks, Amanda. I'm going to hit end now. Peace out.